In Peru, authorities declare a state of emergency in Lima due to the effects of Cyclone Yaku. In France, tens of thousands take to the streets for a seventh day of protests against President Emmanuel Macron's pension reform plans. And in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a UN Security Council arrived in Goma where fighting is raging between the Congolese army and M23 rebels. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Argentina, Vice President Cristina Fernandez affirmed that after 40 years of democracy, the country is not in a constitutional democratic state and reiterated that there is a judicial power in the nation. In her speech, the Vice President attributed the deficiency in the functioning of the executive, legislative, and judicial powers to the obsolescence of the structure of the state. Also, she gave an overview of the political context that created the conditions for the arrival of Néstor Kirchner to the presidency, bringing stability and returning the functions to each one of the powers. However, the Vice President denounced the alliance of sectors of the opposition with the judiciary, which calls into question the independence of powers.
And today, after 4 years of democracy, next December 10th, what we are experiencing in terms of division of powers, when we see that the opposition, or at least the most important sector of the opposition, is allied with the judiciary and doing what we know is being done. In my opinion, we are not seeing today a constitutional democratic state.
Bolivian Ministry of Hydrocarbons and Energy announced the country will begin the industrial production of lithium carbonate in 2023. Authorities expect to complete the construction of the industrial lithium carbonate plant in Potosi by July this year. It should start producing 20 to 30% of its capacity by October. The entity reported the investment of around $96.4 million to the purpose. They have estimated at 3,000-ton lithium production per month, which could create multiple benefits for the population since 1 ton of this mineral could cost around $70,000 in the international market. At present, Bolivia possesses a lithium mine containing approximately 21 million tons of the so-called white gold in the Uyuni salt flat between the Oruro and Potosi regions. Peruvian authorities declared a state of emergency in Lima due to the effects of Cyclone Yaku. 58 people have died in the current rainy season. According to Peruvian Minister of Defense Jorge Chávez, the declaration of the state of emergency begins to take effect on Saturday from the metropolitan area of Lima to the region of Tumbes, the north, to work on the mitigation of coming rain's effects. All this comes after President Dina Boluarte received a weather forecast report for Lima, which has been under severe rainfall due to Cyclone Yaku. According to this report, Yaku is expected to be moving away from the Peruvian coast on Wednesday. However, it could cause rains on Sunday and next Tuesday of up to 5 millimeters in the coastal area of Lima and activate the more than 30 creeks of the department. Japan commemorates this Saturday the 12th anniversary of the tsunami and earthquake that triggered the 2011 nuclear disaster. Tokyo residents offer prayers and observe a minute's silence on the anniversary of the deadly tsunami that triggered the Fukushima nuclear disaster. The 9.0 magnitude earthquake, the fourth strongest in recorded history, devastated northeastern Japan 12 years ago. It caused 15,900 deaths and left 2,523 people missing. "12 years after the nuclear disaster at the Fukushima plant, Tokyo Electric Power Company is seeking to discharge water from storage tanks into the sea. The company said it is currently treating the water with advanced liquid processing system a system for removing various radioactive materials from the contaminated water. The company also seeks to ensure that the treated water, which still contains some chemicals, does not pose a danger to the environment. The storage tanks were installed to hold the water used to cool reactors after the 2011 disaster, but the canisters are nearing capacity. TEPCO is building a pipeline and other facilities to discharge the water into the sea. In Indonesia on Saturday, the Mount Merapi volcano erupted, spouting a river of incandescent lava about 1.5 kilometers long, generating alert in the local authorities. So far, a lava eruption has been observed reaching a distance of 1,500 meters towards the southwest of the country. The authorities warned the population of nearby localities to avoid activities in the danger zones within a radius of between 3 and 7 kilometers from the volcano's crater. Merapi, 2,968 meters high, is located on the border between the Yogyakarta Special Region and the Central Java region. It is considered the most active volcano in Indonesia and one of the most erupting volcanoes in the world. Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at the account at @TeleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Thousands of people participated this Saturday in massive demonstrations in rejection of the increase in the retirement age in France. Clashes between police and demonstrators took place on Saturday in Paris during a new day of massive protests against the pension reform planned by the government. According to local media, uniformed officers used tear gas to disperse demonstrators in the French capital. Hundreds of demonstrations reported to have taken place in numerous cities of the country. Controversial pension reform was presented on January 10th by Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne. According to the bill, the authorities will start increasing the retirement age by 3 months per year as of September 1st, 2023. Thus, it would reach 64 years in 2030. The reform has unleashed a wave of protests in French society. Despite social discontent, the French Senate approved on Thursday the key article of the reform project, which should raise the minimum retirement age to 64 years.
It's not new that we demonstrate on Saturdays. Our concern is that this mobilization should be representative of all the anger that exists in the country, and that's why we said to justify the last Saturday demonstration. We want to alternate weekday mobilizations, which are really very important, but also Saturday mobilizations. We all know men and women workers who sometimes apologize for not being able to take action during the week, and who tell us, we'll be there on Saturday because Saturday cost us nothing on our paycheck.
The leader of the French left, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, expressed that we are arriving in a moment of zero political tolerance and was astonished by the high level of violence and contempt shown by the executive for not listening to the popular clamor to reverse pension reforms.
We are living a moment of political lockdown by the President of the Republic. This is an unprecedented situation in the social history of this country. It has never happened before. To rough up the National Assembly, then to rough up the Senate, then refusing to talk to the leaders of the unions who, as you can imagine, did not expect such violence in this contempt. So much so that one has the impression that everything is blocked in the country.
Likewise, parliamentarian Mathilde Panot expressed that they are in a moment of inflection due to the high social cost of maintaining the strike and criticized the government's poor management of this type of situation.
You clearly have a strategy of deterioration on the part of the government, which hopes that the strikers will quickly give in because the strike is expensive, because life is expensive, and because millions of people are shocking because of the increase in energy prices, because of the increase in food prices, and they have to ask themselves each time how they are going to pay their bill, pay the rent, and continue to have all their children able to eat in the canteen, and many other things. So we are at the moment where the balance of power is intensifying. We are at a turning point, obviously, with this strike, which has been renewable since 7 March, a bit earlier for some of the workers. And we see that this strike is holding. It continues and it's still spreading to other sectors.
In the United Kingdom, citizens demonstrating support for National Health Service personnel amid a staff shortage crisis in hospitals and increasing waiting times for patients. According to the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, 500 patients died unnecessarily every week due to the collapse of the medical emergency system. Over the last month, members of the Medical Association have registered patients waiting up to 12 hours for ambulances, as a result of which many of the latter cannot make it to hospital centers. Given the situation, they demand the government take quick measures to address the situation and demand salary improvements after denouncing a wage decrease of up to 20% since 2010. In the Netherlands, farmers protest in the city of The Hague against the government's plan to reduce nitrate emissions. Over 10,000 farmers gathered in Zuid Park, dozens of them even left in their tractors from various parts of the country, despite the fact that it is forbidden to use this type of vehicles in protest. Authorities placed army trucks next to some crossroads to block the roads if the tractors tried to access the center of the metropolis. The demonstration was called by the Farmers Defense Force movement, which, among other grievances, denounced the government's policy on child welfare benefits and the treatment of residents in Groningen province, in the northern part of the nation, whose homes were damaged by earthquakes caused by decades of natural gas extraction. In Italy, authorities rescued a boat with 500 migrants. On Friday, migrants had sent a wreck risk mayday that was answered early on Saturday by the Mediterranean Coast Guard. They rescued the boats and escorted it to the Calabrian port of Crotone. Several other damaged barges are yet to be rescued. On Thursday, several boats shipping a total number of about 1,000 migrants also asked for help in the midst of very complex weather conditions. On the other hand, the body of a 5-year-old girl was found adrift on Saturday off the Calabrian coast of Steccato di Cutro. She was identified as the 74th official victim of last February 26 shipwreck in the south of Italy. TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. On Saturday, the UN Security Council arrived in Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, where fighting is raging between the Congolese army and M23 rebels. The fighting in the north of Kivu province has intensified recently, and the M23 threatens to cut off all road links to Goma, situated on the border with Rwanda. Speaking on arrival, the French ambassador to the UN reaffirmed the support of the international community with the DRC. Several regional initiatives intended to defuse the conflict have so far failed to stop the fighting. The Congolese government accuses Rwanda of backing the M23 rebels, although Kigali has so far denied that. UN experts and several Western countries have also concluded that Rwanda supports the group.
The Security Council has a wide range of tools to bring about peace and security. Sanctions are one of these levers, but they are not only sanctions, there is negotiation. And negotiation is a tool par excellence of diplomacy and the United Nations.
After 2017, 2022 was the second deadliest year in the history of the United Nations system in the Democratic Republic of Congo, with 13 lives of United Nations peacekeepers taken in violent attacks.
Tunisian President Kais Saied dissolved municipal councils months before they were due to be elected, further dismantling the systems of government developed after the 2011 revolution that brought democracy. The municipal councils will be replaced by special delegations, made up of civil servants and placed under the supervision of the governor of each region. The mandates of the 350 mayors and municipal councillors currently in place are due to expire at the end of April, and elections were theoretically scheduled to follow. In the 2018 local elections, a third of municipal councils came under the control of Ennahda, an Islamist party that has been the most vocal critic of Said. Elected municipal councils were introduced after the 2014 constitution called for decentralization, a constitution that Said has replaced with one he wrote himself and passed last year in a referendum with low turnout. In Afghanistan, a bomb attack left 1 person dead and 8 injured, including 5 journalists. The attack took place in a building in the northern city of Mazar-i-Sharif during the commemoration of the National Day of the Journalist. The detonation also injured 3 minors who were singing the national anthem during the ceremony. So far, no terrorist group has claimed responsibility for the attack. However, the police believe Daesh may be behind it. For several decades, Afghan journalists have been the targets of such attacks, some of which Daesh claimed to have committed. The resumption of relations between Saudi Arabia and Iran will have repercussions across the Middle East and beyond, from the war in Yemen to the rise of China's influence in the region. The two rival powers announced Friday the restoration of diplomatic relations within 2 months following negotiations in China. Saudi Arabia as Sunni and Iran as Shiite severed relations with more than 7 years ago after Iranian protesters attacked Saudi diplomatic missions in the Islamic Republic following the execution in Riyadh of Shiite cleric Nimr al-Nim. The two regional powers support different sides in several conflicts in the region, such as in Yemen, where the government has been fighting since 2015 against Iran-backed Houthi rebels. Starting Saturday, negotiations between the government and rebels will be held in Geneva, Switzerland, on a possible prisoner swap. The Syrian government welcomed the agreement on the normalization of diplomatic relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. In a statement, the Syrian Foreign Ministry described this agreement as an important step taken by the two neighboring countries toward normal diplomatic relations. The institution also thanked Chinese leaders for their sincere efforts during intense negotiations between the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, Ali Shamkhani, and his Saudi counterpart Mohammed bin Mohammed al-Ayban, held in Beijing, capital of the Asian giant. These two powers stand on different sides in various regional conflicts, so the resumption of the relations will contribute to strengthening security and stability. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin congratulated Li Qiang on his appointment as Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, the Russian government reported on Saturday. The Slavic nation's premier welcomed the fact that Moscow and Beijing are deepening cooperation in different fields and emphasized that bilateral relations are currently at a high level unprecedented in their entire century-long history. Moreover, Mishustin wished Li Qiang good health, prosperity, and success in his position. The appointment of Li, a member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China, to the post of Premier was approved by the National People's Congress on Saturday. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.
Una serie donde se observa la esperanza del pueblo boliviano